Giants fans, it's week 16, December 23rd, and we're coming on to Christmas Day, and Christmas Eve we play the Cardinals. You're watching True Blue Review. Hey, Rich.
Hey, John.
We're
Merry Christmas, man.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too, brother.
Merry Christmas.
It wasn't a bad week. We played the Eagles all the way to the end.
Yeah.
We gave them a hell of a game.
It was a really good game.
Yeah.
Very good game.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Giants pulled it off, it would have been a phenomenal game.
Mm-hmm.
But they played good. Offensively, that's the best I've seen them all year.
Sure. Defense gave up some big plays.
Yeah, they did. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and special teams totally sucked the goal.
I think that's the weakness of the Giants. Probably, I mean, their defense is inconsistent. Their offense is inconsistent. But their special teams is consistently bad.
Yeah, you're right. They
are.
I figured they gave up, on the block punt, I think it was the block punt, then they ended up going in for a touchdown off of that.
Gave Philly a really short field.
There were two short fields.
Right.
There was the interception that Eli threw. Mm-hmm. We have to take note of that.
Yes.
And then the block punt was the other one. Both of those were scored on in the first half. Mm-hmm. We thought we were going to be up, 20-7?
Yeah.
20-7 at halftime. Next thing you know, we're down. Well, actually, we ended up going in, 23-21, I think.
At halftime? I believe so, yeah.
Right around there.
They had the block punt, block extra point, and a block field goal. Like, good God.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's just bad line work, man.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. But nevertheless, the team really worked hard. The offense worked really hard to come back. They worked really hard to come back. And I thought they played 4 quarters too. I think they played pretty well, and I thought the offense looked fresh from a standpoint of the play calling changed a bit. Remember, they came out and threw the first 3 or 4 passes were right to Sterling Shepard.
Yeah. They got him involved in the game early. And I was saying last week that I was disappointed. We had discussed the fact that, he was injured. He had a hamstring.
Right.
But he really had a bounce back week. He played phenomenally.
Yep. Well, I'm very glad to say that it's one of those losses that it didn't hurt too bad.
Yeah. I agree.
It definitely could have been worse. And this week we have the numbers game.
Oh.
Okay, so here's how the numbers game works. I'm going to show a number to you and to Rich.
Okay.
And the number is based around the game, and Rich is going to tell me what the number is, what it means. So let's start off first. $37 of 57.
That must be Eli Manning's completions versus attempts.
Correct.
I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, 57 attempts. Wow.
Not the first time he's thrown that many times. He's thrown over 60 a few times.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they had a total of 2 sacks on him. That may have been at 2 sacks.
Only one, I think.
Only one?
Only one sack.
Off of 57 attempts. Wow.
Yeah, only one.
Wow. Okay. So we have to hand it to the line in that case. Special teams, the line sucked ass. But at least on offense, all right. Okay.
I mean, I think they went into the game plan, thinking, with the idea that Eli was going to throw the ball.
Right.
Because like you're saying, the first 3 plays I think were passes to Sterling Shepard. I mean, they came out with, we're going to throw the ball today.
Definitely.
They didn't think as much about the running game. They want to establish the passing game and then, then try to wear it out with the run. But, the defense, unfortunately, couldn't keep the Eagles within a touchdown.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so next one. 434. Now, some I've seen say 435. So someone's off by 1 either way.
I already know that's Eli's passing yardage.
That's correct. Eli's passing yardage. Very good.
That's probably the most yards he's thrown for in the last couple seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe, I knew it was racking up. I mean, it had a heck of a first half.
Yeah.
And he just kept it going.
You know what sucks? I thought he was going to have a comeback week last week, and I put him on one of my fantasy teams, and then he didn't have a good game. And then this week I was like, oh, man. And then he had this bang-out game. I was like, crap!
I bet a lot of people did
Just
that.
want to catch him one time, man.
I bet a lot of people did that. Man. All right, here's one. 2 for 70 with 1. 2 for 70 with 1.
2 for 70 with 1. Oh, that must be a touchdown. So 2 passes for 70 yards for a touchdown, and one of them is a touchdown. Is that right? But I don't know who it is.
That's correct.
Tavares King?
Tavares King.
No, he had 2 touchdowns, didn't he?
No, just 1.
Okay.
He just had the 1 touchdown.
I thought he had 2. Okay.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we can check on there, but I thought it was only 1 touchdown for him.
This is my team stuff. I don't even.
I thought I printed it out. Okay,
it's
well,
okay. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, so that's what I got for Tavares King. I think it was just 1 touchdown for him, and maybe Lewis got 2. Anyway, next one. 6.2. 6.2.
Yards per catch?
Yards per play.
Per play. Okay.
Per play. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Yards per play. That's pretty high. I mean, if you're doing that on first down, you just shortened. You just made third down look pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, 6.2 yards per play.
Yeah, that offense really had a good game plan. They were able to execute. I was completely in disbelief that they scored on their first 3 drives.
Yeah.
You know, because they hadn't done that in so long.
3.
Is that what that means?
That's touchdowns on first 3 possessions.
Wow, nice.
Well, how long has it been?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Now that's not very common for any team to ever do to score 3 touchdowns in the first 3 possessions. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants haven't done that in the Eli Manning era. You know, they probably have, but
yeah.
I wouldn't know the last time. Did you look that stat up? Do you know the last time they did that?
No, I don't. I couldn't find the last time they did it.
That doesn't happen.
I would have had to do a lot more digging.
That does not happen very much.
Yeah,
you know, that's a rare occurrence.
So there's the numbers game for this week. We don't do it every week, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun to put when we have some decent numbers to put down.
It's fun.
And try and make a statement. Did the Eagles tight end score a touchdown this week?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that Zach Ertz?
No, I think both of them. Selleck, I know, scored 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ertz might have scored 1 too. I mean, they had 34 points. I watched the game. Now it's almost been a week already since we're shooting on Saturday. So I just, you watch the game. I wanted the Giants to win, but as far as the specifics of the game, I just didn't really ingrain them into my mind because they did lose to Philly, and
Yeah.
I
tried to put the loss behind.
Don't like to think about that.
So we also have a Pro Bowl selection this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Landon Collins made it to the Pro Bowl. Not having a bad year. Where does he fit on the charts right now?
He was 9th in tackles.
Solo tackles. And then he was 12th on tackles with, combo tackles. Got you.
He's got 2 picks on the year. Didn't score any touchdowns. I think he has 1 forced fumble.
Made Defensive Player of the Week at least once, right?
Defensive Player of the Week, I think, twice this year.
Okay.
I couldn't say specifically what the games were, but anyway, something like that. So, I mean, he was a Pro Bowler last year,
right?
Well,
good for him.
Not too surprised.
For him.
He's consistent. He's consistent as a good player.
He is. he's really, I think we've seen it more so this year than last year. He's really taken more of a leadership role.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just on the field, his stats on the field. It's also the way he reacted to like the Eli Manning benching, the way he reacted to other guys getting in trouble on the team.
Eli Apple.
Yeah, and Jenkins. Remember Jenkins got suspended that one game?
Yeah.
And also the whole thing with McAdoo, even though it's so easy when your team is losing to call out the coach, but he's just not that type of guy.
No.
That would do that. He say, hey, it's on us. It's on the players.
Yeah, there's a lot of respect given to him on that team.
So I think that also plays into, the perception of him just being a good team leader and plays into his nomination for Pro Bowl, not just the stats.
Right. Well, this week has been a busy week for the Giants in reference to the GM search. So we're going to review some of that. And we're going to try and make our way through this relatively quick. But nevertheless, it needs to be reviewed. First, at the beginning of the week was Marc Ross. Marc Ross is currently the VP of Player Evaluation for the Giants. He's been with the Giants about 11 years. And for the most part, there isn't really a whole lot of information on him. I'm going to read with what I found online for him. Okay. Ross is in his 11th season with the Giants, the last 5 in his current position, after spending a half dozen years as the organization's director of college scouting. He came to the Giants in 2007 from the Buffalo Bills, where he spent 3 seasons as a national college scout. His first as a public relations training camp intern with the Giants in 1995. Was instrumental in the Giants drafting of contributors Evan Ingram, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Wayne Gallman in the first 4 rounds of this year's draft, and also was on the collegiate staff. Collegiate.
Whatever.
When the Giants tabbed Odell Beckham Jr., Landon Collins, Justin Pugh, and Sterling Shepard. Okay, so they threw some names in there.
Yeah.
Give them
I'm sure that there were some other picks that weren't good.
Yeah.
During his tenure. Come on.
My understanding is he does get some camera time around the draft, and he works very well. He speaks very well with the press. Seems to have a good rapport with them.
Yeah.
So that's Marc Ross. They're giving consideration. And you mentioned something in reference to the Rooney Rule. He fit in that for whatever it's worth. I'm not really big on discussing the Rooney Rule, but it's there. It has to be considered by them. Okay. That doesn't take anything away from his background. It's just there.
Well, he's there. He's a Giant right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that they interviewed internally.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Makes sense.
After Marc Ross, then Dave Gettleman was interviewed. We've already run over Gettleman last week, so if you want some more update on Gettleman, go check out last week's video if you haven't seen it yet. And we run over Gettleman very well. And not to mention also, if you go to our Facebook page, True Blue Review, then there's some information on Gettleman on there. There's actually information on all of these prospects on our Facebook page. Probably one of the bigger names this week was Louis Riddick.
Louis Riddick, yep.
Okay, ESPN analyst.
That's how I really know Louis Riddick. I didn't really know him as a player.
Right.
I didn't really know him as an executive because it's not like he was the GM, the face of the team, or anything along those lines. He was mostly a scout or, director of pro personnel or assistant, whatever the case may be. That was basically his role.
Yeah.
So he's one of those guys behind the scenes. It's like Marc Ross. Do you really know Marc Ross? I don't know him really.
Right.
I know of him. You see his name, but the reality is I don't really know him. But Louis Riddick, of course, I know him from being an analyst, which he's a very good analyst. I like listening to his commentary.
Yeah. Well, he has had some commentary too. We'll get to that. But going in his executive background, I printed some of this out, so allow me to read. He did start out with the Washington Redskins as a scout in 2001. He went to the Eagles in 2008, again as a scout. and worked his way through the Eagles until 2013, the director of pro personnel. That's all I got on that. Okay?
Yep.
But a little bit of, I also pulled some quotes off because what I noticed on social media was a lot of people talking about, well, what's his perspective on Eli, especially as an analyst. He's going to have more to say. There's more footage on this guy, or film on him. So I kind of printed out some of his quotes in reference to Eli. So I'm just going to read these and then we can say what we want with him. There's a number of different things you can wind up doing with him, meaning Eli. I mean, if you're not going to find out what they have with Davis Webb, then it probably makes sense to go ahead and keep him. If you're going to move him, you'd have to trade him, more so than cut him. That makes sense. Why would you just cut him and not get anything back when you know there's going to be a market for him? Drafting a young player has to be on the ticket anyway, just by virtue of the fact that you know Manning is closer to the end than the beginning. There's a lot of different moving parts here, but I think everybody will win in the end. I think Eli will get what he wants, and I think the Giants will just move on into the future. I don't really understand that last sentence. Eli will get what he wants, and the Giants will move on into the future. It could just be a general statement. So, if it gives us any idea of him as a GM, then it sounds like he's pretty flexible either way.
I think that he's an analyst. Somebody asked him a question. He gave him an answer. This is what he said. But, I think that's as an analyst. I think if he became the GM of the team, he might have a different answer.
Certainly.
He might have a different answer.
Right.
The bottom line is I don't know what's going to happen with Eli, but I would just be so surprised if he was traded from the Giants.
Yeah.
Without him coming out and saying, I want to be traded.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's definitely not going to get cut. He's too valuable.
Yeah.
Many teams would want to pick him up if he was out there on the waiver wire. But he's right about Davis Webb. I want to find out about Davis Webb. Now, I guess we're gonna talk a little bit about Davis Webb too. So
yeah, we're gonna go a little bit into Webb.
But bottom line is, we'll see what happens with Eli. But my personal opinion is he's going to be a Giant.
Yeah.
Next year. I mean,
Well, the other thing with Louis Riddick that is that people are finding interest in is his relationship with Josh McDaniels. Well, we already talked about Josh McDaniels in reference to Nick Caserio over at New England. Okay, and the idea that Caserio could possibly be a package deal with Josh McDaniel.
Right.
Okay. Well, this came up with Louis Riddick as well, because last year San Francisco, when they were trying to hire a GM and head coach, they wanted a package deal put together, and Louis Riddick was called, and he apparently has a relationship with Josh McDaniel through Belichick and also through Nick Saban. And so that pairing came up to San Francisco, but apparently Josh McDaniel had then backed out of it. So it never came about. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I'm sorry, Kyle Shanahan. They ended up getting their position. Mm-hmm. So there we are.
Yeah. So I don't think McDaniels wants to live on the left coast.
No, I don't either. So it's interesting though, because my own feeling is that it seems like the Giants, between the Nick Caserio idea and then Louis Riddick, it looks like they're really trying to hone in on a head coach there, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else rolls in that. And McDaniels has been around a while, so everybody's going to have a combination here of some form or another.
True.
So
true. These guys are all football guys,
right?
And
then the final GM that was interviewed this week, as of this morning, was Kevin Abrams. We talked about him before. 18 years with the Giants, started at the bottom, worked his way up. He's currently the GM, temporary GM. He was the assistant GM under Reese. And I don't know what we would get with him, but I would expect pretty much the same thing we had with Reese.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know. He could have been very critical about Reese and never told anybody, and he might have a different idea of what he wants to do.
It's funny because I work in government, so there's directors and there's deputy directors. So there's that's kind of have in most organizations, and usually they work together, but they're very different personalities. And if the director ever leaves and the deputy director moves up, then they start to institute like their way of thinking into the organization. It can be completely different.
Certainly,
it's interesting, but it's very true that it can be completely different. So at this point, I don't know. Gettleman seems like a good choice. Abrams, these two seem like the most
logical.
The most logical without having a lot of changes because they're basically giants, and also Ross.
Yeah,
those three. If you bring in Riddick, it's going to be a big change.
Yeah,
that's a major change. The other three guys, though, they're already all giants, really.
Yeah.
And they already know all the personnel for the most part, particularly the executive levels and the ownership. So that should be a pretty seamless transition. But
right.
The leadership that they particularly have, how they're going to bring it, as different than Jerry Reeve, we'll see.
Yeah.
Or Jerry Reese.
Jerry Reese. So what we wanted to do, and Rich kind of set it up a little earlier, is we wanted to talk a little bit about Davis Webb. He is a rookie, and he was drafted this past year. What did we say, 6th round?
No, he's third.
Or third round. Okay.
Third or fourth?
Yeah, third round, I think.
So first was Ingram.
Evan Ingram. Yeah.
Then was Tomlinson. And then I think was Webb, and then was Gallman, but those two might be switched. I can't remember.
All right. Well, 6'5", 229 pounds.
We've already talked about he's got the measurables.
That's nice.
There's no question. He's got the measurables.
So what I did was, we haven't seen the guy play except for some in preseason. That's all we really got. Okay, so
which is not against the best guys because he wasn't getting put into like the third quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
These are when all the backups are in.
So what I had to do is I had to really go into some of the drafting information, strengths and weaknesses on them.
Yeah.
So I got this off of NFL.com. So I just wanted to read through this, give you an understanding where his strengths are based on what they were looking at for the draft. Stands tall in the pocket. These are strengths. Stands tall in the pocket with a high release point. Rhythm passer. Can drive it with accuracy between hashes when allowed to sling from a clean pocket. Shows patience to allow crossing routes to clear traffic. Expedites release with compact delivery when blitzed. Functional poise with blitz in his face. Slides to create cleaner platform to launch from when pocket gets noisy. Internal clock is operational. Has feel for when the ball has been in his hands too long and will look to release it. Feet are good enough to operate in a boot action passing attack. Completion percentage saw an uptick in the fourth quarter in 2016. Okay, there we go. So let's go through weaknesses. Robotic decision making. Decision on where to go with ball seems predetermined despite coverages. So he's looking at his man all the way down the field, it looks like. Sounds like. Needs to get better at manipulating safeties with eyes. There you go. Inconsistent velocity to the sideline causes nose of ball to dip. Drive throws sometimes sail. Okay, drive throws sometimes sail. Has slow setup in pocket with excessive pre-release steps. Cornerbacks contest too many throws due to lack of anticipation. Timing passes must come out sooner. Plagued by accuracy issues and decision-making outside the numbers on both intermediate and deep throws. 5 of his 12 interceptions in 2016 were along deep sidelines due to underthrows and failure to read safety help. Touch and placement are an issue when forced to leave the pocket, not a factor as a scrambler. Those sound like just basic rookie things. Timing, stuff like that you just kind of got to get a feel for.
Let me just say that, I remember reading the scouting report on Brady, Tom Brady,
Yeah.
He didn't get drafted to the 7th round.
Right.
Yeah, it was all bullshit.
So, that's a good point. That's a good point you make. How many first-round draft choices really, really do something?
I mean, quite a few of them.
Quarterbacks.
But quarterbacks, I mean, there's been plenty of busts.
Yeah.
For as many good ones there's busts.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's guys that are like, okay, you know?
So if you used a high draft pick for Webb this past season, and it looks like right now we're sitting number 2 on the draft, why would you want to use another high draft pick for yet another quarterback when you don't?
If you can get a quarterback that's going to replace Eli that you know
you can drop right in a game,
then boom. However, what if they think Davis Webb is good enough and Eli is serviceable for another year or two,
and he mentors Webb for a year?
Yeah, then they could take that pick and give it to another team,
sure, and
trade it and get a bunch of other picks for it. You know that are a little bit deeper down, but they can get a lot more young blood into the team this year.
Right.
You know.
Well, this past week he has been practicing with the first unit, which is a big step. And guys like Landon Collins and a few of the guys even on the practice teams have been saying that a couple of them said they remind him of Eli.
No, it makes sense if he's getting mentored under Eli, but they're always going to say they're always going to say something. They're going to say something bad about the guy.
What are these guys?
Until you see this guy in a real fucking game, you're not going to know anything. Yeah. You know, it's all speculation. You know, the only thing I know is that he hasn't been active, and he didn't come up number 2, which means that our backup number 2, Gino, apparently is better than him.
Yeah.
And if Gino is better than this guy, I don't want him. Unless they're just giving it more time, then I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Okay, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or unless it's a McAdoo decision, then who the fuck knows what he was thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. But it is. You noted he's been inactive, and just so everybody knows, as of this morning, he's still inactive. So I can't figure that one out.
I would like to see him play.
So.
But, you know, this game coming up is who cares?
Yeah. No,
really,
I hear you.
Honestly.
I hear you.
You know, that's our preview, isn't it? Like, both teams are out of the playoffs.
Cardinals
They're going to play. They're going to play.
Yep. Tavares King's out. B.J. Goodson's out. Cardinals are 6-8. We're worse.
They're going to play, and I'm going to root for the Giants, and I'm going to pick the Giants to win.
There you go. That's basically it.
And I'm going to watch the game, damn it.
So if you're a Cardinals fan and you're watching us to get information on the Cardinals, then I really apologize. But you're not getting anything on the Cardinals because we don't care about the Cardinals. So,
well, we don't care about the Cardinal-Giant game.
Yeah, we don't care about the Cardinal-Giant game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything final you want to lay down on this? As far as the game goes or anything?
Not as far as the game. Okay. No, I'm just going to watch it and root for the Giants.
We're going to keep you updated on GMs. Make sure you go onto our Facebook page and check it out. I'm posting a lot of stuff.
By the way.
Oh, yes. Okay. You saw our totem last week. Rich wants to name this totem, but we want you to name it.
We were thinking about some names, but it just didn't seem right, and I just know that there's somebody watching that's a talented name giver that will think of the perfect name. So give us some of your feedback on a name for our little totem pole here. We want to call him something.
Leave it at the bottom of the YouTube page, please. And in 45 seconds, we want to thank Tin Cannon for some great beer. We want to thank Big Blue Nova. We were there last week.
We were there last week.
Love those guys.
Great seeing those guys.
Yeah, definitely. Old school, man. Old school. We love him. And Sabrina, Julie, we thank them. Thank you, Rich.
All right, bro.
We want to wish you a Merry Christmas, the best of health and happiness, not on this day, but every day. Thank you guys for watching.
Merry Christmas. Go Giants.
Go Giants. Yeah.